Oh god, the sponsor has a health bar. This video is sponsored by Big Bads. Big Bads is a 2-volume collection of a bunch of boss monsters for 5e, which is now on Kickstarter right now, and it's a lot more than just stat blocks. You can take this rogues gallery of 25 thrilling villains, throw them right into your games with all their tactics and minions and much more. Build a whole one-shot around them, or join the Big Bad Bureau to help take down the Big Bads case by case. That sounds awesome. I want to play a D&D campaign where I just fight boss monsters. That's sick! Kickstarter's live right now at bigbads.com, so go check it out with the link down below. I'm gonna cast Mage Armor, and then as my bonus action, I'm gonna dodge. I'm gonna cast Spiritual Weapon and have it move 30 feet over there, which is almost there, and then I'm gonna ready Sacred Flame. Alright, and then I'm casting Magic Weapon on my Greatsword, and I'm gonna move forward 30 feet, and that's gonna be the end of my turn. Wow, what great turns! I love D&D. Anyways, the Frost Giant's gonna do a Freezing Ray on you, and you need to make a con save. That is a 8 on that save. Well, you're paralyzed for 1 minute. You're paralyzed. Anyways, next turn. I think I'll move in. I'll move in, dash, action, healing potion. I'll just roll that in it. I'm gonna borrow these. I heal 7 hit points. I'm paralyzed. Oh, I can do it again? Oh, look at that! 8! I do nothing! I do have ranged options. I just don't think that that's, like, that great of an idea. Let me think. Alright, we'll come back to you. The enemy wizard is going to walk forward and cast Color Spray. Pew! Everybody roll saves. 5. You're all charmed and incapacitated. None of you can do anything. Oh, man. So, but that's the end of your turn. And nobody else can do anything, so now it's my turn. So the Frost Giant's going to attack you twice. That's a 25 and a 26. So both of us hit you. So that's like... Yep, I'm unconscious. Unconscious. Done. 70 cold damage. Wow, yeah. Whoo! Man! Tough monsters. Stun, paralyze, incapacitated, sleep, and unconscious are all mechanics that are prevalent in lots of games. They seem like, on paper, really great ways to give an advantage to the opposition without directly killing the player. But in practice, stun, which is the term I'm going to use for the rest of this video that encapsulates all of these things, takes away player agency, disengages them from the game, and overall feels bad. D&D is a game where you get to make choices, and that's pretty much all you're doing outside of narrating those choices and applying some rules to those choices. And stun, which encapsulates all of these things, is one of the few mechanics within the game. Actually, probably one of the only mechanics in the game that says, no, bye-bye, you're done, get out of here. Stepping back and comparing to other what I'll call negative interactions within D&D, we can compare how terrible and dumb stun is. Taking damage. When you take damage, this indicates to you as a player, if this happens again or more, I may die. What should I do about it? How does my character react to this? And the game provides lots of answers. You could heal, you could go into cover so you don't get hit, you could cast shield, you could equip a shield, or maybe you've thought about this ahead of time and you're playing a tank and you have tons of hit points and getting hit is the point. There's lots of options. Exhaustion. While I am much more of a fan of 1D&D's variant rule on this, which is effectively instead of having you go to 6 and then die, and each level gives you a different effect, and effect 1 isn't that bad, but effect 2 really sucks, and then 3, oh god, it's really bad. Instead, you can have up to 10, and every level of exhaustion gives you a -1 to all your d20 rolls. It's simple, it's effective, you can have more. It's great. I love this rule. Regardless, levels of exhaustion indicate to a player that the character is getting tired or they're getting weary and they may not be able to continue fighting as long. You know, similar to hit points, but it's a different measurement. What should I do about it? How does my character react to this?
But I can't carry you!
Charmed. So long as we're talking about a charm that more specifically turns a character against their allies, which is the fun way to do charm. Oh no, I'm under the mind control of the bad guy and I now have to fight against my friends. Charmed, to me, I would really love to be charmed. There's some sort of fulfillment to me to turn around and just like attack my friends. I don't know. I have a good excuse now. I can fight you and it's because the bad guy told me to. I don't know. I think that's narratively super interesting. And it's also a lot of fun to be like, I do smite our cleric. But really, when you're charmed, you get a moment to sort of like play into your dark side or really role play into like the villainous stuff. Like any of you watched, you know, Vox Machina season 1, the animated show, there's a lot of those little moments where like Vax is charmed and it's real cool. Frightened, poisoned, grappled, blinded, deafened, restrained. What else I got in here? Slowed, confused. These are just like spell abilities. All of these grant you some sort of interaction with the game. It happens to you, and then you get to go, what am I going to do about this? And how does my character react to this? Oh, gee, I love making choices and thinking about my character and playing Dungeons & Dragons. What a fun game! But with stun, you don't get to do any of that. You don't get to do any of it. You can speak falteringly. You can go, which, I mean, yeah, it's better than nothing, I guess. You get your little thing. And yes, depending on the stun, there's going to be some way that you can get out of it or your party can help you get out of it. Like, if it's a spell, you know, somebody can always cast a spell magic on you, but the issue, I guess, that my point is that you don't get to do it. Sometimes you get to roll a save, but then your turn ends, and then that's it. You're done. You don't get to do anything. You just get to sit there and watch your character go. But overall, most of the time, you're not getting to ask, what do I do about this, and how does my character react to this? Because it's nothing. You can make a save, but that's it. And this applies to stunned, to paralyzed, to incapacitated, and most controversially, to unconscious, which we're going to get to in a minute, but I have to explain some other things first. I want to first explain how taking away your ability to react in D&D is the worst game design. I came to play D&D. Stun says, no, I don't get to play D&D. This is bad. In a lot of video games, stun is a temporary setback that you can normally get kind of better at avoiding. Or if it's like a turn-based game, normally the game gives you other characters that you can control while the main character is stunned. And it's honestly not a bad mechanic. It's annoying to have to sit there and be frozen for a few seconds, or even a minute, which is egregious, but it's not that bad. And so just take this and port it into D&D. No. First of all, can't get good in D&D to dodge a spell or ability. Sometimes it just happens because this game uses dice and a character that isn't you. Also, in D&D, it is not a few seconds. In combat, it's probably a few minutes, if longer. But that's unfair because during combat, there are other turns and you're not always getting your turn, so you're already waiting anyways, so like, what's the big deal?
Allow us to introduce ourselves.
What's worse than waiting for your turn? Oh yeah, waiting for your turn and then you don't get it and you have to wait again for longer. Stun puts a player in timeout for upwards to like 5 minutes, maybe more, often more, according to you guys. Okay, like when you're stunned, you can't react, you can't do anything, you can't talk, you can't strategize, you can't do anything with your party members. You just get to sit there for maybe like 10 minutes doing nothing. You don't get, Hello, did you show up to play D&D? Cool, a guy hits you and you fail a saving throw, so now you're in timeout for 10 minutes. Thanks for playing! I really feel like I shouldn't have to explain why this is so bad. So for the most part here, I'm talking about stunned and paralyzed. There are some charm effects that can effectively stun you, like color spray, it just makes you incapacitated. But when you hit 0 hit points, you know, earlier when I was talking about damage and like, oh no, if this happens more, then I'm gonna fall I'm probably gonna die. Oh God, I just poked my eye. For your consideration, the dying condition, aka how to let your players still play D&D even though they've hit 0 hit points, which I know isn't like a huge problem that needs to be addressed within the D&D sphere right now. As far as I've seen and what I've played in my games, most folks are just a-okay with hitting 0 hit points because, you know, you gave me all these points, I let them hit 0, and now I suffer. That's how, like, almost all games work. But I've also, in my games, had players hit 0 hit points and then be totally disconnected and just go do something else because they got a whole other round to get through before they come around to make their death save again. I mean, somebody could heal them back up, sure, but I mean, sometimes it's just so commonplace and it just happens so often, it just feels like, all right, cool, I don't get to play now. You know, sometimes you just get hit with a lot of damage and you're done. Now, originally, you hit 0, you go unconscious, you boo-boo the fool, you might die. I wasn't enjoying this particularly in our Fallout campaign, which I wrote the mechanics to. I know there's a 2D20 system that like just came out, but I spent a good portion of time making my own system, which combines aspects from the original games and the new games and 5th edition, and I've just created this Frankenstein of a system that I really like. In this system, you use action points instead of having an action, bonus action, reaction, and move, and doing anything in the game costs so many points, but on an average, super fast is 3, kind of quick is 4, medium is 5, and slow is 6. And so some actions and weapons are faster while some are slower, but you kind of get to choose whatever you want to do on your turn. If you got 10 action points and you want to spend your whole turn shooting your gun at some ghouls, you can do that. Or you can spend your entire turn moving. 1 AP is 1 hex, which is like 5 feet. Or, you know, you could do a combination of things on your turn. There's also perks in the game that let you reduce the amount of time for stuff. So it's so far we've really enjoyed it because you don't have to wait to get extra attack. But more importantly, you just sort of get a variance of options. But in the world of Fallout, there isn't really a way to come back from death. If you are dead, you're dead. There isn't like a revivify. There's definitely ways to heal, but it's a lot more scarce than D&D, so when a character hits 0 hit points, it completely shifts the battle. There's no cleric or paladin who can just run over there and heal them. There isn't like a healing word or a potion that they can throw or, you know, some aura effect that can get them back up. So some characters would relegate themselves into helping the downed player basically every turn so that the real life human got to still keep playing the game, which was not my intention. I don't like that. I don't want the players to have to meta play their characters to try and decide the fun for another player. Like, I know that's still gonna happen. There's always that necessary metagaming you have to do, but I just didn't want to like encourage it. And since I was in the spicy mood of hating stun, I figured, you know, why not let the players still play while also letting the other player play? You know, they'll still be worried, but everybody's still getting to make choices. So enter the dying condition in my Fallout system. When you hit 0 hit points, you gain the dying condition. While you're dying, you gain 2 AP at the start of your turn, but the AP doesn't go away, meaning you can stack it each turn. You can still roll a death save, that doesn't cost you any AP, but using a stim pack, which heals you, is like 6 AP, meaning you could save up your AP and risk going to the 3rd death save roll, but if you get 6, you can use a stim pack, heal yourself, and get back in the fight. Or if you don't want to do that, you can spend the AP to like crawl on the ground. Maybe you can save up your points and like shoot something, or maybe you've got something that costs 2 AP, sort of like a Borderlands fight for your life scenario. Sure, some turns you're going to do nothing. You're just going to save your points, and you're effectively going to do nothing on your turn, but at least there's an option. At least you have the choice in the game that's about making choices! So far, the mechanic has been a lot of fun. My players really like it, and it has made combat super interesting and cool. And I wanted to convert it to D&D, which is really hard because its Fallout system is ridiculous, and it's an amalgamation, you know, it doesn't exactly work, but I did sort of create a conversion that works here. I'd love to hear some feedback on it if you guys have some ideas, but this is my basic idea of how I'm going to run it in my D&D games, because I plan on running this rule in my D&D games. So this conversion also works off of the exhaustion rule from 1D&D, which I explained earlier. Instead of having, you know, 5 to 6 and 6 you die, instead you get 9 to 10, and every level of exhaustion gives you a -1 on all your rolls, and 10 is death. Once you hit 0 HP, you gain the dying condition. While you're dying, you have to stay prone, you roll a death save at the start of your turn, and you only get to do 1 of 3 things. You can either action, bonus action, or move. If you use an action, you gain 3 levels of exhaustion. If you use a bonus action, you gain 1 level of exhaustion. And moving doesn't do anything, but you're at half speed because you're prone. You can also use a reaction, but that's another level of exhaustion. So basically, you're not invincible. You could still still cure wounds, healing word, or drink a potion, but you're still using resources. So theoretically, on your turn, you don't have to do anything. You can just roll your death save and continue doing what you're doing. Actually, if anything, you can just move. That's what you can do. You can move now. You can crawl around on the ground. I, personally, really like the idea of the cleric hitting 0 hit points and then gaining a level of exhaustion to healing word themselves back up so the fighter doesn't have to spend their entire turn running all the way back and getting the cleric back to 1 just for them to go back down again. Like, ugh, it's so annoying. Plus, characters who don't normally have the ability to heal can do other things on their turn. Maybe they want to get that last hit in, or maybe they want to cast a different kind of spell. I don't have to explain everything. The point is they have the option. I don't know about you guys, but I think I'd be having a lot more fun in a TTRPG if I was making choices rather than making none. And the only time I think a character should stop playing the game is if they're dead. I know there's going to be a lot of arguments of people saying that stun and unconscious are there as punishments for players who get way in over their head. I think that's just a toxic way to DM D&D. I'm not here to kill my players or punish them all game. I'm here to provide them with challenges and unique opportunities for us to have a narrative game, back and forth roleplay experience. Stun takes that away. Or another one I know I'm going to hear a lot of is you need to have stun and unconscious so that the bad guy can have more turns. Wrong. Legendary actions, or make more bad guys. If you want more turns as a DM, just give yourself more turns. Don't take away the player turns. That's silly and stinky. Or you just give the bad guy more health. I know that there's tons of DMs out there who just make up the health. I don't do that. I personally, I'm a little against making up the health. I don't, I know there are a lot of DMs who are like, ooh, well, when I run D&D combat, I just wait until I think they've done enough damage and then the monster's dead and nobody suspects a thing. Cool, but some players really like to do damage and like to count numbers, and if they ever find out that the numbers just don't matter, that sucks. Personally, that kind of sucks. So, just give them a lot of health. I think you should just give them lots of health. Okay, so I've provided you with dying condition. What is my alternative to stun, paralyze, and incapacitated? Just don't do it. You see a monster that can do that, you see a spell that can do that, don't cast it, don't do it to your players, and for good measure as well, to me, it's okay if the players do it to you, because you can have infinite players. You can have all these guys, and if you really want to, just make them immune to stun, incapacitated, or any of those things, charmed, whatever. Just you hold all the dice. You hold everything in your hands. I just don't make the monsters do it to the players. They don't have enough options to deal with that, and it sucks, all right? They don't get to play 400 NPCs in a game, all right? They don't get to run the world. They're just them. That, or give them another, NPC or player to play while they're stunned. That's my only other alternative. Okay, I guess we can finish the skit now. Sorry, let me just... I could probably make this challenging without all the stuns. The Frost Giant could probably, not paralyze and do less damage. Even think about it, Mind Flayers could instead just, in one turn, suck your brain out. They don't need to stun you with the Psionic Blast. As soon as they get over there, just... That makes them way more terrifying. Exactly. Oh. Well, now you're taking away my ability to even play the game, which is against everything that you said in this video. Look, I don't have the answer to everything. Sometimes I just want to get in here, say my piece, and then get you thinking. I am just one dude. I'm one dude who manages this entire channel. I edit all the videos. I film all the videos. I write all the video. I'm not talking to anybody. I'm alone in this room. There's not actually copies of me. I'm doing this with the iPad. Look. There's nobody in here. I do all these videos by myself for the most part. I have a lot of help from my wife. On top of that, I try to do them every week because I gotta have content every week. Because I enjoy doing it. I love doing it. But YouTube will just my revenue if I stop. I'm sorry. This is not a cry for help. I just don't get to say my thing here too often. I'm sitting alone in a room right now yelling about stun. And, thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate it. You're the best. I love what I do here. It is incredibly stressful sometimes. It is, I've got a lot on my shoulders. There's a lot of people that help me out, which is great. But in case there were any of you out there who thought this was some mega production or anything, no! I basically do all of it. But you know, if you agree with me, great. And if not, it's okay. It's fine. I'm not hurt by anything that you guys have to say. I'm also not trying to be the bastion, the arbiter of all knowledge like I've done in the past. I really like making videos like this. I love making videos about like a specific topic that is something that's really cool in D&D, but it is so nerve-wracking and stressful to upload any kind of video like this because it is consistently met with like the most criticism ever. It's just, it's a lot, alright? It's a lot. When I'm already doing a lot of stuff, I can't keep track of all of it. I just want to say my thing and get out of here, alright? So if you found this helpful, fantastic. And if not, it's okay. I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy sitting here and yelling at the internet. Then, why make the video at all? That's a good question. But you know what? You're thinking too hard, and your brains will taste delicious. Nom, 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 ow, nom, oh no! Ow, my brain! Ooh! Really though, thank you. You guys are awesome. I did a couple of streams recently where Chat and I are building an adventure, and it's been a lot of fun, but there have been a lot of like messages in chat and like super chats and stuff that have just been like really, really, really kind. And I didn't want that last part of the video to come off as like me complaining or like me trying to air out something or like I'm tired or burnt out or anything like that. Look, I just, you know, sometimes I just gotta tell everybody that dang, this is real hard, and that's all it is. You guys are constantly reaffirming and encouraging me, but I hoped you learned something from this video. Thanks for listening to me ramble. You guys are the best, and I wish I could kiss you all goodnight. So,